I never give more than 4%, and generally only 3.5%, but to my son-in-law I would give 5, and we would share the profit. Very good, father-in-law, said Cavalcanti, yielding to his low-born nature, which would escape sometimes through the aristocratic gloss with which he sought to conceal it. Correcting himself immediately, he said, "Excuse me, sir, hope alone makes me almost mad, what will not reality do?" But, said Danglars, who, on his part, did not perceive how soon the conversation, which was at first disinterested, was turning to a business transaction, there is, doubtless, a part of your fortune your father could not refuse you? Which? Asked the young man. That you inherit from your mother. Truly, from my mother, Leonora Corsinari. How much may it amount to? Indeed, sir, said Andrea, I assure you I have never given the subject a thought, but I suppose it must have been at least 2 millions. Danglars felt as much overcome with joy as the miser who finds a lost treasure, or as the shipwrecked mariner who feels himself on solid ground instead of in the abyss which he expected would swallow him up. Well, sir, said Andrea, bowing to the banker respectfully, may I hope? You may not only hope, said Danglars, but consider it a settled thing, if no obstacle arises on your part. I am, indeed, rejoiced, said Andrea. But, said Danglars thoughtfully, how is it that your patron, M. de Monte Cristo, did not make his proposal for you? Andrea blushed imperceptibly. I have just left the Count, sir, said he. He is, doubtless, a delightful man but inconceivably peculiar in his ideas. He esteems me highly. He even told me he had not the slightest doubt that my father would give me the capital instead of the interest of my property. He has promised to use his influence to obtain it for me, but he also declared that he never had taken on himself the responsibility of making proposals for another, and he never would. I must, however, do him the justice to add that he assured me if ever he had regretted the repugnance he felt to such a step it was on this occasion, because he thought the projected union would be a happy and suitable one. Besides, if he will do nothing officially, he will answer any questions you propose to him. And now, continued he, with one of his most charming smiles, having finished talking to the father-in-law, I must address myself to the banker. And what may you have to say to him? Said Danglars, laughing in his turn. That the day after tomorrow I shall have to draw upon you for about 4,000 francs, but the Count, expecting my bachelor's revenue could not suffice for the coming month's outlay, has offered me a draft for 20,000 francs. It bears his signature, as you see, which is all sufficient. Bring me 1,000,000 such as that, said Danglars, I shall be well pleased, putting the draft in his pocket. Fix your own hour for tomorrow, and my cashier shall call on you with a check for 80,000 francs. At 10 o'clock then, if you please, I should like it early, as I am going into the country tomorrow. Very well, at 10 o'clock, you are still at the Hotel des Princes? Yes. The following morning, with the banker's usual punctuality, the 80,000 francs were placed in the young man's hands as he was on the point of starting, after having left 200 francs for Caderousse. He went out chiefly to avoid this dangerous enemy, and returned as late as possible in the evening. But scarcely had he stepped out of his carriage when the porter met him with a parcel in his hand. Sir, said he, that man has been here. What man? Said Andrea carelessly, apparently forgetting him whom he but too well recollected. Him to whom your Excellency pays that little annuity. Oh, said Andrea, my father's old servant. Well, you gave him the 200 francs I had left for him. Yes, your Excellency? Andrea had expressed a wish to be thus addressed. But, continued the porter, he would not take them. Andrea turned pale, but as it was dark his pallor was not perceptible. What? He would not take them? Said he with slight emotion. No, he wished to speak to your Excellency. I told him you were gone out, and after some dispute he believed me and gave me this letter, which he had brought with him already sealed. Give it me, said Andrea, and he read by the light of his carriage lamp, you know where I live, I expect you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Andrea examined it carefully, to ascertain if the letter had been opened, or if any indiscreet eyes had seen its contents, but it was so carefully folded, that no one could have read it, and the seal was perfect. "Very well," said he. "Poor man, he is a worthy creature." He left the porter to ponder on these words, not knowing which most to admire, the master or the servant. "Take out the horses quickly, and come up to me," said Andrea to his groom. In 2 seconds the young man had reached his room and burnt Caderousse's letter. The servant entered just as he had finished. "You are about my height, Pierre," said he. "I have that honor, Your Excellency." "You had a new livery yesterday?" "Yes, sir. I have an engagement with a pretty little girl for this evening, and do not wish to be known. Lend me your livery till tomorrow. I may sleep, perhaps, at an inn." Pierre obeyed. 5 minutes after, Andrea left the hotel, completely disguised, took a cabriolet, and ordered the driver to take him to the Cheval Rouge, at Picpus. The next morning he left that inn as he had left the Hotel des Princes, without being noticed, walked down the Faubourg Saint-Antoine, along the boulevard to Rue Ménilmontant, and stopping at the door of the third house on the left looked for some one of whom to make inquiry in the porter's absence. "For whom are you looking, my fine fellow?" asked the fruiteress on the opposite side. "Monsieur Pailleton, if you please, my good woman," replied Andrea. "A retired baker?" asked the fruiteress. "Exactly,